Hello and welcome back to the reading vlog. I hope you had a nice New Year's. It is the 1st of the year, the 1st of January 2024, which is weird. Hopefully this year won't run as fast as the last year. But yeah, I thought I'd start the vlog bright and early. Well, it's 10 o'clock I think. Yeah, I had a really chill New Year's. I went to bed at 12. I was really over the fireworks, to be honest, because people here started at 6 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah, I don't know. I think you can do too much, you know. Yeah, but that means that I was up late for me, but relatively early, I would say, for most people. And I did quite a bit of reading already this morning. I'm still reading The Stand. I am over halfway through now, and I do have the plan to at least read till page 700 today, so that would be right there. And then I have, I think, roughly maybe 400 or 500 pages left. Let me look. So yeah, then I have 500 pages left for the rest of the week, which hopefully I will be finished by like midweek, Thursday maybe, around there. Yeah, hopefully I will manage that. But yeah, the book is still going really, really strong. Well, there's now a lot more like action, but also like more like people forming groups and then conflict coming up, which, you know, it's a typical Stephen King. So now there's also like the whole over-sexualization that he has always in his books, which I can live with. I don't particularly love it, but I think it makes the stories a lot more realistic, sadly. And so yeah, it obviously fits. So that is now I Hate Harold. If you have read the book, Harold is just, I don't know. I think it's because in like real life I knew people like him, and people always tend to give them the benefit of the doubt, even though they are just shitty people, and it annoys me in the book as well. So yeah, he is a really realistic character. Just that's just how it is, you know. But yeah, the first group now has found Mother Abigail, who is the one who kind of brings the people together, and the people dream of her. And yeah, also well, if you want to know the first half of the book, you have to watch last week's vlog. But yeah, so they are now slowly grouping together, and we are now starting to also get more of the people who flock to the dark man, who is pretty much, you know, the opposite of the good guys. What I like about all of the situations is that, especially with Harold, we get to see that how easily it is to change from like the good side and wanting to go to Mother Abigail to being drawn to the dark man, because Harold, I feel like he will go there. I just had the chapter where he found out, you know, that Franny, which, you know, she doesn't like him in that way, but Harold, as he is Harold, can't live with that. And so he kind of goes over to the dark side because everybody wronged him just because women don't like him because he's an asshole, which he obviously doesn't realize, as always. But yeah, so he seems to go over now to the dark side. I'm now in the chapter of the trash can man, and he is on his way to the dark man. And pretty much the book is setting up now for like the good guys to then at some point go against the dark man. I'm kind of interested to see. I feel like at the moment it's a little bit like, you know, the godly side, this Satan dark side, so it's like really religious in topic, which, you know, I'm not religious. I don't really care for religion. You know, everybody can believe what they want. I respect that, as long as you don't inconvenience other people because of your beliefs. So yeah, it's an interesting topic. I'm interested to see how it plays out over the novel. But yeah, I am really interested. I love reading it. I have a really, really good time reading it. And to be honest, I think it's kind of a good and fitting book to start the year with. So yeah, hopefully, well, I get to page 700 today. And then I will try to read 200 pages every day this week, just so I can finish this, because obviously I already read it the complete last week, and it's just a really hefty book. So yeah, the next book that I will pick up will be a short book, just to have a little bit more variation in my reading at this time. But yeah, I hope your start to the year was great. To be fair, I went really chillingly into the new year, and that is exactly how I want my year to play out, so that is actually quite fitting. Also, my partner and I, we did like a really, really good clean yesterday, which feels so good to, woke up today. The home was really, really clean and organized, and it just felt good. So, yeah, today I will do a little bit more organization of where we have a closet under the stairs, and it's kind of our throw in and forget about it room, more or less, and I want to go through that, organize it, throw stuff away that we just don't need, and have like a nice closet under the stairs. It's pretty much like a Harry Potter closet size-wise. So yeah, that is what I will do today, and then I will check in with you later once I finished reading to page 700, and we'll have a little bit of a check-in, how our guys are doing. I am rooting for them. Hopefully the good will win, but I think mostly that is what will happen. But yeah, I'm interested to see who will die and who will live. We also already had the case of somebody getting appendicitis, I think. And he died from that because obviously they don't have a doctor. And Stu was also a really great character in the book. He tried to do life-saving surgery, but sadly the guy passed away before he could finish the surgery, because obviously he's not a surgeon. They don't have sterile rooms or anything like that, So yeah, there are some hard topics in the book, but it feels realistic. Obviously it isn't realistic because we don't have that case, thankfully, but it feels really realistic. And great. So yeah, I will now continue reading and check in with you once I reach page 700. Okay, update. I managed to get to page 700. I am sorry if you can hear still fireworks. I don't know, people are dumb. It's, afternoon now on the 1st. But yeah, I managed to get to page 700, which means I have 500 pages left. It seems so massive, I think mostly of what happened in the last 100 pages is we now have two camps, pretty much. We have the camp of Mother Abigail, and we have the camp of... His name is Randall Fix. Still don't know if he's like more of like a figure or actually a person. We haven't found that out yet. But yeah, so we have pretty much the bad people camp, and then we have, the good people camp. That is the rough categories that pretty much exist. And in the bad people camp, if somebody, for example, doesn't heed the... for example, they aren't allowed to have drugs, and if they get caught with something they aren't allowed to have, they get crucified. And yeah, but our good people camp is like still relatively unorganized, and so they are working on that. And that is pretty much the point where I'm at right now. One thing that I really thought about while reading today is, let me get the book. I read this, I don't know, at the end of last year at some point. And the biggest problem that I had was that we had the beginning of the book, and then you have a 50-year time jump after everything happens in here, which here are vampires getting out, as like the post-apocalyptic, like at the apocalyptic event. And then you have the encampment, pretty much, or like, the camp where everyone lives 50 years after what happened, and you are missing those 50 years, and you get like a few flashbacks, but not much. And I think if Justin Cronin, the author of the passage, did what Stephen King did with this book, this would have been perfect. He pretty much manages to not do the mistakes that Justin Cronin did with the passage, where he just skipped 50 years, and you go from a few characters that you really loved to them being dead, some of them, because there were 50 years in between those things. And I think this is why I love this book so much. This is everything I wanted when I read the passage. Because we get slowly through all of that journey from the apocalypse starting with the flu, people dying after the flu had already stopped and the immune people survived, of done things, people dying, you know, accidents, stuff like that. And then they are now pretty much restarting a kind of society. That is what I wanted from the passage, and that is everything the stand is giving me. And I think that is why I love this book so much. That is what I was looking for, and I thought I would find it in the passage, but no. The Stand by Stephen King. If you don't like travel scenes in books, or like, you know, a lot of description, a lot of like traveling journeys, and really not having like the end thing really not being that necessarily important, but the journey, you won't like the book. But if you love that, this is the book for that. I love it. I'm so glad I've read 200 pages today. I won't continue today because 200 pages, to be honest, is pretty much my limit for a day for one book. I might pick up a second book in the evening if I do feel like I want to read more, or I finish my audiobook, we'll see. But yeah, that is exactly what I wanted, and the stand is giving it to me. Now, the last 500 pages might be where we'll start struggling, because I feel like now it's only going to be like drama between people. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully he did better than that, and there will be like a conflict between the two, but in like a good way. We'll see. I don't know yet. But I have high hopes, you know. But yeah, the first 700 pages, amazing, exactly what I wanted. And yeah, you can kind of compare it with this one, and this one did it really, really bad instead of this one. So, that is where my thoughts are right now, and I will now go continue cleaning up my closet and be annoyed at the people who are still throwing fireworks out there. It's just dumb. I'm sorry, it's really, really dumb. But yeah, I will enjoy the rest of my day, and I will see you tomorrow with a reading update. We'll see how far I will come tomorrow. Hopefully quite a bit. But yeah, I'm excited to continue. The Stand, amazing. I should have bought it way earlier. I don't know why that wasn't one I picked up. Probably because it's so fucking big, but it's manageable. It feels long, but it doesn't feel so long as the book is. Yeah, I love it. It is another day, and it is another great reading day. I'm home alone today, which is really, really weird, but my partner went to the office as his first day back at work, and he took the dog with him because I had really bad morning, housewife. So yeah, I'm home alone. It's weird. I don't have anything that I need to do today, which is also kind of nice because I can completely chill and just do my hobbies and have a really relaxing day. The first thing that I did today was, look at that, I made quite a dent. I have read another 200 pages today. 200 yesterday, 200 today. I'm really happy about that. The only thing I'm kind of sad about is that it happened exactly what I thought would happen. Now, since like page 700, so the last 200 pages, they settled down in Boulder. And now it's just politics and drama between people. And I don't like it. I don't know why. I kind of not hate myself for it. I guess it's a fact that I have to accept. I dislike drama. I don't know why. I would love some books. I don't know. If you know any books that do without drama, I would love to know them. I dislike all of the drama that is happening now and all of the political squabbles and stuff like that. Also, I'm still thinking Harold has some kind of agenda. I don't like him. He seems to really struggle, and I feel like the struggle that it describes makes him more human and more sympathetic to him than I want to, because I dislike him so much and everybody is giving him slacks and I don't understand it. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it's still a really good book. It's just really, I don't know why. I don't like drama between people. I don't know. I'm a peace-loving person. I don't know. So yeah, but that means I have 300 pages left. I'm at page 900 now. The book has 1,200 pages, so 300 pages left. So I will definitely finish the book today. No, today. I will definitely finish the book this week, which is great. And I'm having a great time reading it, even though I dislike a lot of what is going on now. It is just a normal conclusion of the rest of the book. So, I mean, it's fair. It's just, personal preference that is kind of dumb. I mean, he also has books that don't have any, like, kind of human drama. For example, The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. I really loved that book by him. I guess that probably for a lot of people it's boring because there isn't any human drama and stuff like that. But for me, those are the books I love the most. So yeah, great time reading this still. If I read anything else today, which I haven't decided yet because I obviously read a lot already. If I will read anything else today, I probably will pick up another book because I do have enough for today off the stand. Also, I finished my first book for the year, which is funny to say, but yeah, I finished The Hidden Life of Trees yesterday. I gave it 4 stars. It was a really interesting book. I never knew that there was so much to know about trees, and I think everybody should read that, actually. Yeah, I think actually it's kind of nice to know, and there were so many facts in there that I never thought about. About how trees communicate, and that actually trees have like parent-child relationships, and that older trees look out for younger trees and stuff like that. All those things I really never thought about, and yeah, it is a really interesting book. I wish I read it in German because it would have made a lot more sense since it's a German author. The English version is great. You can absolutely read that, but obviously for me being German, it would have made more sense to read it in my own language. My library just didn't have it available in my own language as an audiobook, so I listened to it in English. Sometimes that is what I love about knowing 2 languages. I can switch between both. And that makes reading kind of a little bit more interesting at times, But yeah, so that was really interesting, and I finished that yesterday evening in bed, and it was a great listen. So yeah, I would actually recommend listening to it. I think it makes a really, really great audiobook to listen to when what a little bit, like, have something really relaxing to listen to that really isn't, like, obviously it's a non-fiction. There's no drama, there's no, like, great revelations, it's just a really interesting book about trees and how we should stop destroying our forests with the wrong agriculture, kind of. Is agriculture the right word for trees? I don't know. Horticulture? I don't know. Whatever word is the right one, we should change the ways we do it, obviously. So yeah, that is the quick little check-in for today. Other than that, I'm now gaming. I am playing like one of those Banished-like games where you build like a colony. I'm doing the achievements, which I'm doing that. And then whilst I'm doing that, I am knitting the front piece for my sweater. I'm currently knitting a sweater without a pattern, just like, how I feel it might look nice. And I already finished the back piece. It's a cropped sweater, so it's not that long, but yeah, I finished the back piece. It's supposed to be, snatched at the waist and then oversized going up, and yeah, I finished the back. I am now working on the front because I want to. It's nice, it's really relaxing, and yeah, so that will probably be the rest of my day, gaming and knitting, because I'm really in the mood for that right now. So, to my own surprise, I finished the stand already today. I read the last 300 pages really, really quickly today. Like, incredibly quickly. Yeah, I really liked this book. I gave it 4.5 stars. For me personally, like, up to page 700, I was like really invested. And then I had like 200-300 pages where I was a little bit less invested, and then the last 200 pages were incredible again. So I can't in good conscience give it 5 stars, to be honest. But it was an incredibly great book still. It's just like, a personal preference that I heard all of the drama that comes with politics and stuff like that, which makes us a bit of the book. I wish that bit would have been smaller, shorter, and we would have gone back to like adventure and yeah, back again. But yeah, there are a lot of people that died in here. The person that I'm the saddest about was Nick. He actually got killed by Harold. So I was really, really sad about him passing. The one I was the happiest about is Harold. He does die. He doesn't survive at all. I was incredibly happy about that. I hated that guy. But yeah, other than that, the story is incredible. If you really want like a post-apocalyptic, relatively realistic virus story, if you can stomach it, like after Corona, um, go with this one. I know it's an old book, so you probably have read it already. I didn't, and I loved it. Yeah, I do totally think Stephen King can do the massive books. I think that is something he can really, really do. It works for me. So that is great. But other than that, I did also start another book yesterday because in the evening I wasn't in the mood for the stand, so I picked up a different book, and that is The Tooth Fairy by Graham Joyce. And one thing I didn't realize, because I got the book in a book box, like from eBay, I bought like a random horror book box, and that was in there. And to my surprise, when I opened this yesterday, it is actually signed by the author. I have no idea how that happened. The book is obviously not really read as well. It seems pretty unread, or the person was really, really careful. I'm not that careful, to be honest. But yeah, so I was really surprised. It starts really interesting. We have 3 families pretty much. One, they live in a trailer but have a really, really expensive sports car. Then we have one who live in a house but they can't afford a car. And then we have one who live in an apartment and they also can't afford a car. And they all pretty much live in the same neighborhood, and the kids like go to school together and stuff. And then the beginning starts with one of the kids getting his toes bitten off by a fish in a pond. That was kind of weird, but yeah, he loses 2 toes to a fish. And that is like the start. And then because of some teasing, he punches one of the other ones in the face and cracks a tooth. And the tooth falls out. And he's like, you have to put it under your pillow, then you get something by the tooth fairy. And the other guy is like, these are small children, like age 6 and 7 and stuff. And the other guy is like, yeah, who believes in the tooth fairy? So he doesn't tell his parents, and he puts it under his pillow, and then he gets woken up in the night, and he sees a shadow in his room. And turns out the tooth fairy looks really, really scary, and you aren't supposed to be able to see the tooth fairy, and it seems to be like a kind of genderless elf. And yeah, it starts like that. I have no idea what will happen, other than that the tooth fairy really seems to be scary, and the tooth fairy itself is afraid that something will happen because the child can see him. And that is where I am, because I read like the first 25 pages, so I'm not that far into it right now, But yeah, that is the beginning, and it seems really interesting. It's weird to have such a young character as like the main character, but then again, for like a tooth fairy horror story, that seems kind of fitting. So yeah, I'm really interested to see where this goes. I will continue with that one tomorrow. Today, to be honest, I've read 300 pages. That is more than enough for a day. So yeah, the rest of the day will be spent gaming because I have the time. I'm still on vacation, I have to work on Monday. Today is Wednesday, so I have a few days left. And yeah, this week the reading is going incredible. I feel a lot more relaxed. Sadly, I have to go back to work next week. Hello. So, it is Friday now. Yesterday I didn't check in. I had a really bad health day. I read a little bit, but yeah, I couldn't check in. I just wasn't physically capable of you know, putting on a good face and like not being obviously in pain the whole time. So yeah, you're getting sad. Well, I wanted to say sadly, but yeah, I finished the book. So you're getting a recap of the book without any of the footage of it, reading it, you know. But yeah, I finished The Tooth Fairy and I'm not happy with it. It's so funny. I talked to my partner about that yesterday. When I started reading Stephen King, I read so often and heard so often that Stephen King is like so weirdly sexual in his books, but I never felt like that specifically. Like, yeah, he has a lot of like sexual stuff in the books, but it felt like most of the time it fit in the books. Except for, you know, the scene in it. But even that kind of makes sense. All of the other horror books I've read so far, of these older ones that I've got in the box, they all are weirdly sexual and way, way, way worse than Stephen King ever was. I don't get why people are so bunched up over Stephen King, but not over all of these other horror authors. It's called Tooth Fairy, the book. And there's a Tooth Fairy, which the Tooth Fairy can change its gender, which plays a big role in the book. You will see why. This book is pretty much a coming of age story retelling of the Tooth Fairy, making it horror, which is a really, really weird combination if you ask me. And there's also a little bit of like fantasy thrown in there. And it's a weird combination. And the thing that makes it worse, like pretty much our three main characters, which I told you about last time I checked in with you about the book, they start out at the beginning of the book at like 4, and the book ends when they're like late teens, like nearly adult, pretty much, or like adult. And nothing in the life of these boys is normal. Everything is pretty much sexual or violent. There's nothing normal in this book. And I think the gist of the story, what the story wanted to do, was take the Tooth Fairy. The Tooth Fairy can see the boy. That is bad. And then the Tooth Fairy ruining the boy's life. And at the end, you're like, did that really do the Tooth Fairy? Or did we just watch a bad child turn into a bad adult? And the Tooth Fairy is in his head, kind of. And that is what the book wanted to do, but everything was so weirdly sexual. The Tooth Fairy is really, really the P word. It. Everybody in that book wants to hurt these children, and they grow up with that. And I get that that happens. You know, I'm not that naive to not realize that, but I don't know what the book wanted to do, because it didn't work. At the end of the day, the children grew up in a bad environment, and the environment shaped the kids, kind of. And the kids themselves, like, they aren't nice kids, particularly, if you think about it. But nothing in this book is nice. I don't get what I'm supposed to take from the book, other than kind of everybody sucked in the story, and the Tooth Fairy really wasn't necessary at all. Because even though, like, in the beginning it's portrayed as like the Tooth Fairy doing the bad things, it's pretty obvious from the beginning that it's just the child that has blackouts. It's really obvious. And then, yeah, no, I didn't get it. I'm sorry. I really didn't get it. I gave it 2 stars. It's not badly written. I get writing style. It's fine. It wasn't for me. I don't know if it's because I'm of a different generation. This book came out when I was 3 years old, so it's 1996. No, 2 years old. I was 2 years old as the book came out. So maybe it's just a generational thing, or I'm just not into it. Because I just find it weird that your horror book can only be horrible because people nearly get sexually assaulted all the time in the book. I don't think it's like a sensible thing as like to carry the story, you know. So yeah, wasn't impressed by it at all, which I kind of expected. You know, I had the same problem with all of the other books out of that box with all of the other old horror books. So yeah, I think I might just not be the person for these. Or there are other better older horror books out there and I just don't know about them, so I will have to look into that because I'm sad. I'm really sad about that. I think you can do so much better when it comes to horror books, and it's a bad retelling. I've read so many better retellings of fairy tales, and this book also had nothing fairy tale-ish about it. I feel like if you do a fairy tale retelling, you have to, even if you make it a horror book, which I've read horror fairy tale retellings, you still have to kind of keep the fairy tale-ish feel alive, and there's nothing about that in that book. So yeah, I read it. I finished it. That is all I wanted to do. So another horror book down from the book, a box of bad books. I think that's the official name that the books will have to take. Really not impressed with all the ones I've read so far. Also, it's if I didn't, I think I told it, but it's by Graham Joyce, and I have a signed edition. Yeah, not that it's worth it in any way, but yeah, that is what happened yesterday, pretty much. I read it over the 2 days. So yeah, I haven't decided what I want to pick up yet as the next physical book, but I did start an audiobook yesterday, and it's kind of a weird choice. I have to say I was never like a fan of sci-fi, and coming with that astrology, going to the stars. I was never into rockets, stuff like that, as a child. So I have read really little about what humanity has done going to the stars. But my library, I stumbled upon it on the library app. And that is, oh, I forgot the name. It's a book about the moon landing. And pretty much the author interviewed all of the surviving participants in the program. And they talk about pretty much the first tests, how the people were chosen, what it was like to work there, and going from that, to the moon landing and everything that came with that. And yeah, I decided to listen to that because I know incredibly little about the moon landing, and I think it's actually a topic where it's not bad to know at least the basic stuff. So yeah, it's a long audiobook, which I don't mind. I'm happy if I don't have to look for another one in 2 days. So I think it's like 28 hours, maybe. It is long. So yeah, I am listening to that currently. It is pretty interesting. I have never thought about how one gets to be an astronaut. And yeah, it's kind of interesting, And also to hear the people talk about the pain for the people who died testing out the machines and stuff. I'm at the point where they're currently talking about the people who died on the ground, who were in the cockpit that burned up, and the how the families took it, and the fact that all of the people who actually signed up to do the missions have had resigned themselves that they might not come out of it alive, but that it's actually really sad that they never got to leave Earth and actually died on Earth. It's really interesting. I never thought about that. So yeah, you always learn something new, and it's really interesting. So that is what I will listen to today a little bit more. And then tomorrow morning I will pick out a new book, and then I will check in with you with what I'm reading next. Yeah, so that is the plan. Okay, I will probably be disrupted by the package guy, because my partner just called that he saw the package guy down there, and I'm waiting for a package. But I did choose a new book, and I don't know how to feel about it, and I feel really mean saying that. I am currently now reading The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. This is a book from the perspective of an autistic child. Yeah, it's a murder mystery about what happened to the dog. And the main character has Asperger's syndrome, which I'm pretty sure doesn't have that name anymore nowadays. I'm pretty sure it's now just part of the autism spectrum. And so the book is out of his perspective, and it is interesting, but it is hard to read. It is really hard to read. I don't know. I think it's just because of some experiences I have had with one person especially that was or is also on the Asperger spectrum, but I always felt like people gave him grace for really inappropriate stuff that I think should have been not happening. And I had a really hard time with that, and I was glad once, but I met him while studying, so I was happy once I wasn't in that situation anymore, but obviously that had a bad taste in my mouth. And I'm relatively active in like just learning about that, because I'm pretty sure, but I don't have an official diagnosis, but I'm pretty sure that I'm on the spectrum somewhere, like on the really, really, well, low side, if you want to tell it like that. I haven't got a diagnosis yet because of my health problems. I don't really have the ability to go to a psychiatrist at the moment, so yeah, it's a thing in itself. But you know, it makes me feel really weird about saying that I dislike the way the book is written, but at the moment I find it hard to read because obviously the thought process doesn't work like normal. I also don't know if the author itself has some kind of form of autism or if he just writes out of the perspective, so you know. But yeah, so obviously also it's a 15-year-old, so it's also a really childish perspective, but I like the idea and I like the general gist of the story. So yeah, 50-50? I don't know. I will have to see. But yeah, I've read 50 pages so far. So it's not the longest book, which is probably good. So yeah, I'm a bit in there, but I'm really not sure what to think about the book. I mean, I guess maybe people think like that, but maybe it's just that I don't like when people are so negative. But let me get that. Yeah, for example, the sentence is, all the other children at my school are stupid, except I'm not meant to call them stupid, even though that is what they are. I feel like that is a really disrespectful thing, and maybe they think like that, but I am a person, I hate when somebody is like unnecessarily cruel to people. I've learned over the last years to, you know, set boundaries with people and like get people out of my life who weren't like good to me. And I guess that has to do with like, you know, calling people stupid. I hate when people do that. I think it's just, you know, and then reading that, and I grew up with like, well, you can't tell them off because obviously somebody on the autism spectrum, they don't know what they say. So it's really hard for me to read, to be honest, just because of the personal experience I have with people on the spectrum. And I had really, really good experiences, but I also had really bad experiences, which I felt where I was in the right to be uncomfortable. And I feel like in society, you're not allowed to say that really that much. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's helpful to read the book. Maybe at the end of the day, I will get more insight. And that will be really good. I don't know. But yeah, I will continue with that tomorrow. So you will have to come back for next week's vlog to see if maybe the book can, you know, give me a little bit more insight that I'm lacking right now. But yeah, that is what I've read this morning. And then I also listened to more of the audiobook about the moon landing. That is still really interesting. I have no idea what will come because we are going relatively at a relatively fast pace through until the team is chosen to go to the moon. So I guess that will probably take up most of the book. I don't know yet, but it's still really, really interesting. I really like the perspective of the different people that he interviewed. It's really, really interesting. So yeah, I don't know what that book will contain because it's really long and I'm just like, I don't know, I think I'm maybe 3 hours in, so I have a lot of listening time still. And we're nearly at the first moon landing already, so I'm not quite sure where like the focus will be in the latter half of the audiobook, but I'm really interested. I'm gonna put the cover here because I forget the moon, I'm gonna put the cover here because I forget the title the whole time, and I'm really sorry for that. So yeah, that is pretty much where I'm up to. Yeah, the first week of the year wasn't too bad, let's be honest. I made some good progress reading, which is nice. And yeah. On Monday I will have to go back to work, which means less reading, sadly. Like, I have to, structure my days a little bit different. But yeah, I think that will work out somehow, But yeah, I hope your first week of the year has been somewhat nice, as was mine. And yeah, hopefully I will see you in the next video. Bye bye!